have a secret for you. Construction chaos is optional. Yes, it is. It does not have to feel scary and overwhelming. The pain of misunderstood budgets, unclear specs, and piecemeal selections, these things sink a project, right? So this year at LuAnn University, Jenny Slingerland is back. Her class has a brand new name. It's Operations 201, Project Workflow for Construction-Based Design. So if you do construction projects from ground up, Jenny Slingerland is here to show you how to educate your clients on materials, confirm builder budgets, and deliver one complete organized package of selections and drawings, right? Imagine walking onto a job site knowing every detail is clear, documented, and ready for flawless execution. And how about ready for every blasted question from every single trade on the project? It's all done ahead of time. You want to have that feeling of organization? Then come to LuAnn University and take Jenny's class, Project Workflow for Construction-Based Design. We are in early bird registration now through August 29th, 2025. Go to LuAnnUniversity.com. Welcome to A Well-Designed Business. My name is LuAnn Nigara, and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company WindowWorks from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, welcome to A Well-Designed Business. You know, here we spend a lot of time talking about systems and processes, and you know that I absolutely believe in them and know that we need to do them. But you also know that I don't always love them, but I've come to understand that they are the necessary components. They're the backbone to building a well-designed business. So I have come to appreciate them. But there are other powerful ways to build your business that do go beyond the spreadsheets and workflows. Of course, we need those, but sometimes the most effective growth strategy is actually stepping away from our desk, stepping up for our community, and thinking about how we can give back in meaningful ways. Here's the thing, volunteering and doing good for others aren't just feel-good activities. They are incredible community builders and can be business builders that enhance our brand awareness while establishing trust. They create a kind of authentic relationship that can lead to long-term success and even strengthen the internal team culture that we have because you're all working together towards something that makes you feel good, right? So this is why I'm so excited to introduce you to my guest today, Juliana Ewer. She is the president of the Houston IDS chapter Interior Design Society, and she is the owner of J Squared Home Designs. Juliana has this fascinating philosophy about building your business through what she calls strategic volunteerism and intentional networking. And she has proven that it works. She also has her husband, the proof of her husband, who has built an incredibly successful Ford dealership using these exact principles. So she, when she saw it working there so nicely and understood that it was a do good, feel good thing, she decided to bring it into her interior design business. Now, you might be thinking, LuAnn, I don't have the budget for big sponsorships and major donations, but that's exactly why Juliana's show is so powerful. She's going to share how you can make real impact in your community and build genuine business relationships, whether you're writing big checks or showing up with your time and talents. Okay? Today, we're going to break down the difference between being a tourist at networking events versus jumping in with intention, why picking just a few causes to go deep in is more powerful than spreading yourself thin, and how doing what you say you're going to do can set you apart in ways that marketing money simply can't buy. This isn't charity for charity's sake. This is a good thing if you want to do charity for charity's sake, of course. This isn't also, though, self indulgent. Look at what I do, right? This is about putting your money and your hands and your feet where your mouth is and showing up, building the kind of authentic relationships and community that creates that trust. So whether you're looking for a marketing strategy that doesn't require a big budget, want to build deeper community connections in your community, or just want some inspiration to get more involved, maybe it's been something on the back of your mind, this conversation is going to give you a roadmap for doing that. And speaking of building your business with intention, if you are ready to go deeper on creating the kind of trust-based relationships that convert into clients, this is exactly the kind of work we do inside of LuAnn University. We just open registration for our fall 2025 classes, and during the early bird period, you can save on every single class. Whether you're mastering your client conversations, designing your sales process, creating a marketing plan that feels authentic to you, each of our instructors will give you a step-by-step playbook. This is the business education that you don't have, right? This is the business side that, where do you learn it? Well, here's the thing. You can get it at LuAnn University. So registration for Early Bird is open until August 29th, 2025. Head over to luannuniversity.com, review all of the courses that we have. We have a brand new landing page and information, 5 different tracks to help you create a well-designed business: finance, marketing, sales, operations, and leadership. All right. Each one of these areas are strategically designed so that the back side of your business is as wonderful as that front, pretty, creative side. All right, here we go. Let's meet Juliana. Hey, Juliana, thanks so much for joining me on A Well-Designed Business today.
Thank you, LuAnn. I'm so excited to be here with you.
I am too. It's a long time coming.
It has been.
Yes, girl. Not only from the time that we met each other and we kept saying, oh, you should come on the show, but from the time we actually tried to schedule it and then it happened, right?
That's right.
But I'm glad. I'm excited to be here with you today. And of course, it's so funny because first I have to give my shout out to, the IDS crew. Like the IDS group of interior designers across the entire country is a very, very special, unique group of men and women. I don't think I have done any activity with IDS, whether it's national conference, individual chapter, like I came to your chapter in Houston, or just meeting you guys at the different meetups that IDS sponsors at High Point. There's just something different about you guys. Like, Julianne, what do you think it is? What do you think's different?
You know what, LuAnn? I think that it's just kind of the inclusivity. I think it's kind of the excitement to mentor other people. Um, I I happened into IDS and felt really embraced and really supported, and actually have made some of my very best friends through IDS. And actually, the very first conference I attended, you were speaking there. And
Oh,
yes, and I had recently started my business, and you were talking about design processes and things like this. And I was like, what am I doing right? What am I doing wrong? But I thought that was the most amazing thing. And I found that in our chapter too. I feel like people want to see you succeed, and people want to see each other succeed. So
mm,
I think there's like this um, and I think it was a real thing, but it was prior to me being a designer. You know, people are very guarded about
mm,
the things that they did, their processes, how things worked, how they got clients, what they charged. This was a very big secret. And I think in IDS, we have kind of established a very open
yeah.
discussion, because there's enough business really for everyone.
Oh,
And
please, right?
I think that it's just refreshing and uplifting to see people support one another. And
Yeah,
that's
no,
what I love.
I agree. I mean, listen, no shade on any other organization, whatever. I'm president of the WCAA, for crying out loud, the national level, and I just keep saying, how can we be more like IDS? You know what I'm saying? So it's not a negative on any of our other organizations, but there is a genuine positive that's happening there. And like I said, I have had the privilege of being involved in dozens of IDS activities at this point, and it never disappoints. It's never just, oh, that was good enough or that was okay. There is just some kind of energy around it. And I found the same at your Houston chapter when I was there in January 2025 or February
Yeah.
2025, I think it
Yeah.
was. Same thing, just a really great group of people, men, women, and it's just something very special. And every time I have one of you guys, from leadership of IDS on the show, I have to take 5 seconds to talk about it. So
We so enjoyed having you, and it really helped us kind of kick off our year. It helped us get excitement going with our chapter, and everybody just said how informative it was, and they were so excited to see you. You're just a rock star, and people people are like, "Oh my gosh, we can't miss that." So we had an amazing turnout, and thank you for being part of that.
oh my gosh, I love it. That's my favorite thing to do is be live somewhere. So like definitely, definitely. Okay, so now today you wanted to talk about, it's funny because you started to tell me and I said, nope, don't tell me on air. You have a philosophy about growing your business through networking, volunteerism, that you said was an inspiration from your husband and his business. And so that's all I know, but now I want to know the rest of it.
Well, yeah, I think it's something, it's kind of just a worldview, I think, that is a little bit different. And listening to your amazing podcast, people have covered so many topics, but I thought this was something that might be a little bit different. And I think it doesn't cost any money. It can be
Right?
completely free. And so no matter where you are and what your marketing budget is, there's always a way to get involved and do good. And, so many times, not that you have to have that happen, but sometimes that good comes back to you, right?
Yes.
Um, my husband kind of did this on a macro level, and I watched him build his business and assisted him building his business. He owned his own Ford dealership, and a big investment to make, your life savings on the line when you start a business like this, and you have
I just got goosebumps, I have to
yeah.
tell you. Like, I literally did. Like, I was just like, "Whoa, that's so true."
It is. It is so
Yeah,
true. And
yeah,
we, you've invested everything you have and you can make it work, and you've got a couple of hundred employees that are depending on you to do that, right? So
yeah.
um his approach was he bought a dealership, and the dealership had been family owned, and we're family, and they wanted us to buy the store because they wanted it to be in a family, not a
Mm,
corporation. And
mm.
they had bought a bunch of land on the highway and built a massive building, probably 5 years too early. And
Oh,
they had moved it from a small town, into a bigger location. And the growth potential was there, but they were in a lot of debt, which we took on to buy the store.
mm,
And
mm.
short version of a long story, we had to make it work.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
coming from a larger dealership in Houston, Ron had a lot of ideas about why this wasn't working for them. Not only did they not have the traffic, but they'd kind of rested on their laurels for 35 years.
It can happen.
Even though
It can
even though
happen.
you
Yep.
kind of have established a business,
Mhm.
um, you do all the things and then you don't do all the things, right?
Right.
So volunteerism is a way that he built up the store that he worked at previously. And what that meant was there's kind of two tracks to volunteerism in your community with your business. And it can either be giving back to your community financially by making donations to organizations. We all know how that is. Oh, the Little League needs this and the high school needs that. But it can also be donation of time and involvement. And so I think the key to it is picking things that are important to you and
Mhm.
making that the focus, because if you're a big business like he was, there's people coming at you from every angle. We need help here, we need help here, and the mayor says, "Oh, they're open to help." Everybody
Yes,
comes, and so
yes.
you can either just be kind of sprinkled everywhere, or you can make a real difference in a few areas. And so at the time, the big focus for him was for senior Meals on Wheels. So
Okay.
where they needed vans, so he bought vans and
Wow.
donated vans and wrapped the vans, and then we had employees and ourselves delivering meals to seniors in our community.
Wow.
So that's macro. a
Right,
lot
right,
of a
right.
lot of small businesses can't do that. Sponsoring high school stadiums and things. A lot of small
Yeah.
businesses like me can't do that. But this is kind of on the big scale. And so what happens even on a smaller scale is you're building real relationships, because you're not only building relationships with with the organization, but you're really building relationships with the people that you're working with. And
Right.
so those people not only become friends, um, they're like-minded people, they're giving people. They also can become clients and customers, which is a great thing if it happens, right? It's not the reason, but it's a great benefit. Um, and at the same time, you can't overcommit to things. You can't say, I'm going to do way more than I can, or
Right.
I'm not going to show up when I said I was going to do that.
Right.
So, like on a small business level for me, I do kind of a little bit of both. You can donate what you can donate. I love to sponsor the Fort Bend Junior Service League Sugar Plum Market. It raises money for women's charities. It raises money for breast cancer awareness. It's sponsored by a large hospital system here. And I used to, when I was young, be in the Fort Bend Junior Service League, and now I'm way aged out of it. But I still donate to that, and I
Yes.
love that. And my husband was involved in that as well. But I also can find smaller ways to volunteer. And as a smaller design firm, for me, it's finding things that are um, in your wheelhouse. And so when I had the Houston Museum of Natural Science say, hey, we're doing this thing called the Jingle Tree, and we need designers to create Christmas trees that they have to be smaller, and we're going to auction them off and raise money for the children's program at the museum. So I'm like, I can do that.
Yeah.
I can shop for, Hobby Lobby for the right price tree and all the decorations, and get it ready. And my assistant and my intern and I made a cute little tree, and we do that now every year.
How
So
fun. How fun.
there are just ways that you can be involved in your community. And then I actually had people that were involved in that program call me and say, hey, I'm going to design my house. What would you like to come in and check it out?
You did a good job on that tree. Could you do it on my house?
It's you're doing good and you're giving back to your community. And every once in a while, if that comes back to you, that's great. But the other
Yes.
side of it too, if you're more business minded about volunteerism, your brand is in the marketing for all of these kind
Mm,
of programs. So
right.
if you're donating your time or donating your talents, donating products, a lot of times that's listed, and you're noted in that, and so is your business. So
Right.
um, if you don't have a huge marketing budget, and you don't have a way to say, oh, I'm going to do this expensive advertorial, and which you probably won't get business from anyway.
Right.
You'll get recognition, but maybe not any business. This is a more holistic way to kind of invest in your community. People that actually may have the opportunity to hire you, they're local,
Hmm.
and at the same time, you're building relationships with people that are just like you. They want to give
Yes.
back to the community, and they're involved in their community, and that's the kind of people that I want to be around. So,
Right. 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 Yeah, I love there's a lot of a couple of things in here I just want to pick apart and reemphasize,
sure,
okay? Because you've been saying throughout your conversation here, you've been actually giving us some strategy and some tips for doing this. And so I want to make sure that we're pulling them out. The number one thing that you said is that, you know, what I heard was make a difference in a few areas. Like it's you don't need to do it with 15 little leagues and 15 baseball teams and 40 Cub Scout things. You know what I'm saying? Like, pick some things to make a difference in, to go deeper in, as opposed to giving everybody $100. Maybe buy a whole team bats or something like that, as opposed to just giving 10 teams $100. The other thing that I heard you say in there is pick something that matters to you, right? Because I have to say that always makes sense to me, because if we're doing it to check a box, like, okay, check the box. Like, if I don't really care about Little League, but I do care about, like, the Women's Foundation, then what am I going to show up more authentically to? Yes, I'm going to decorate a tree, but I'm also going to come to another fundraiser meeting that maybe I'm not getting recognition in, but because I enjoy and I believe in that cause or that community, because your point is the relationship. Now, you can decorate a tree, you can donate the money and the time, and you could get a phone call for business. But that's not likely to happen every time. What's more likely is you show up to another meeting 2 months or 2 weeks later, and you show up to another one another 2 months or 2 weeks later, and you're the lady that did the tree, but you're also the lady that keeps showing up. And that's how they're getting to know you, right, Juliana?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And at the end of the day, you're not doing it to get business. It's a great side gig that
Yes.
great way to be involved, that you if you get business here and there, that's great. But what you are doing more than anything, I think, is you're building brand awareness, because you're showing up for your community. You're donating time, talent, money, whatever, to your community, and that's the group that's going to be able to feed your business, or say, you know what, if I'm picking a designer, maybe it's her because I saw that she was doing this, this, and this. I think giving back to community is probably something that people may not have, say, on their radar, say, I'm going to make this decision around this because of this, but I think it helps. I think
Yes.
people notice who's involved in their community. People notice who are giving back to their community. And when you're around people and they're like-minded, they're involved in their community as well, when they are making these kinds of decisions, they know who you are.
Yes.
They
And
may not.
it's a long tail thing, right?
Exactly. They may not
Yeah,
have something for you today, but they may, in 6 months or a year from now, come up whenever they're remodeling their kitchen or they're remodeling their living room. But it's just a good way that costs nothing, lets you, I think it feeds your heart, feeds your soul, to be
yeah,
able to be involved in your community. But whenever you're looking for someone to do something for you, I'm more apt to hire the guy that's to fix my car, that's name is on the back of the Little League shirt, or
right,
the person that showed up and donated $1,000 to try to help breast cancer awareness at the event that I was at.
right.
So over time, it's not just that you need the service; you want to do business with a person who is like-minded. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. And the other one of the other tips that I pulled out of there, that what you said was, you gotta do what you said you were going to do. There's no point in saying, I'm going to be a part of this organization and be a volunteer, and then being the guy that's always like, yeah, I can't this month, or I can't this week, or you know what I mean? Or I said I'm going to do it, and now they're all waiting for the darn tree and it's not there. And you're like, I got busy.
Exactly, exactly. And I think that's part of what you mentioned whenever you were talking about, being involved in 100 things versus, a couple of things.
Yeah.
That's the incredible part of it, because you can make more of an impact. Even though it's fewer organizations, you're making more of an
Yeah.
impact. And you can also plan around it. I don't have
Mm,
time for 100 different things. I have time
right.
to know that I'm going to do this at Christmas, and I'm going to do this in the spring, and I can plan around it, and I can budget for it if it's a donation. And um, then I have a relationship, because I'm
Right.
talking to the same young woman who's reaching out to me. Mrs. Ewer, can you please be part of the Fort Bend Juniors League Sugar Plum Market? Can you donate? Can you be
Again.
a sponsor? And she knows I'm going to say yes, because we have a relationship now. And
Right.
she's not having to cold call people. We know each other. And
Right.
I think that over time, donating the raffle prize for it could be something as simple as here's a free, $700 design consultation to the raffle, and it's no
Right.
skin off your nose. Helps you help them, and eventually it may help your business. So,
Right.
um, I think it's a good way to get involved, especially I'm in a big city of Houston, but like every city, we have a smaller southwest suburb here, and so I can't be all over Houston all the time, but I can certainly be the person that's known in my area, for
Yes.
my business and for my involvement. And I think it's kind of a civic duty that
Mm,
I think that's kind of lost on a lot of people today,
mm,
but
yeah.
I feel like it's kind of a good way to give back and build relationships that can eventually help your business
Yeah.
because you're
Yeah.
the person they're thinking of when it comes into whatever wheelhouse you're in. If it's window treatments or interior design or car dealership, they'll say, you know what, I know who I want to call.
Right. Well, and it's funny because I've said this story on the show before. It's been quite a while, but I remember the thing about it is, to your point, and the story I'm going to share is that consistent involvement.
Mhm.
It can't be, I write a check every spring to the Little League team. They put my name on the back of the t shirt. Maybe a parent pays attention, maybe they don't, but it's showing up at the Little League game and maybe being the one that also gives the pizza party to the Little League
Right.
team. Or if you have a business, inviting the Little League team to see your business, like, whatever it is, whether it's the Breast Cancer Foundation, whatever it is, but it's a long tail thing. If you go in and think, I'm going to do this one event or donate this one time, and then you're going to be at the end of it, well, I got new clients from it. Well, then you're not doing it for the right reason,
No.
right? And even if part of the driving reason is to build your brand, is to get clients, the point is it doesn't happen with a toe in a toe out. I remember when I've told the story before many years ago. It's got to be going back 20 years ago. One of the designers here at Window Works, matter of fact, she was just here at Window Works yesterday. My daughter was here, who is 36 years old. And Kim had her daughter Noah here, who is not yet 3 years old. And this designer was standing here, and my daughter walked in the room, and I'm talking with the designer. I'm like, oh my God, how are you? I haven't seen her in a little while or whatever it was. And Kim obviously has continued to work with her. And I said, what do you think of this Noah here? She's so adorable. She's like, I know. I said, and there's Christy, who used to walk around here when she was 3 years old and when you and I were doing drapery projects together. It was like, whoa. But the thing is, that designer, that's specifically the one that was here yesterday, at one point, she became president elect of ASID New Jersey. And president elect of ASID New Jersey is in charge of running the 1 day design trade show. And ASID New Jersey doesn't fool around with their 1 day design trade show. It is a really good event. I mean, they get, all kinds of industry partners to have booths and stuff. They have programming. It is a mini conference. It is a mini 8-hour conference, and it's a lot of bells and whistles that go into it. And I'll never forget this designer. I'm on a job measuring her, and she says, I just became president elect of ASID. And I said, oh, and you know me, I'm going to
Yeah.
be facetious. I'm like, I'm so sorry for you. As I'm president of WCAA, right? And we just laughed over it. And she goes, I know. And I said, and she goes, so here's the thing. She goes, I have to run the trade show. I said, oh, I'm actually truly sorry for you now, right? And so she says, well, you're going to be sorry for both of us. And I said, I am. And she goes, because I need you on that committee. I'm like, oh, girl, like, I pay my dues to ASID, but I've never been to a meeting. You know what I mean? She's like, well, you're coming. And she looked right at me. She's like, I need people I can rely on. She goes, this is no small undertaking. And I just looked at her, and she was like, the only thing she didn't say is, I've been giving you business for 10 years. Well, guess what? But my point is that I did it. And of course, Christy, my daughter, was probably, I remember she was like in 6th or 7th grade. So I'm like, in my brain, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Like, I am running a business. I am running this kid from baseball to soccer to basketball to piano. And I got to do this too, right? So I went in not with, pure of heart, Juliana. I did not go in pure of heart. But of course, I knew my responsibility to this designer. And I would never have looked at her and said, I'm not going to support you. But the thing was, I went and we basically met every single month for about 7 months. And then the last 3 months, we had to meet twice a month. And this was before COVID. There was no Zoom meetings. You all drove in the middle of winter, 45 minutes away to the darn place. It was brutal, right? But over the course of that year, there were about 10 or 12 of us on that committee. And you really developed friendships. And it was so funny was because if in real time I added up all the hours that I spent in person driving and my own stuff that Sharon, asked me to do, as a committee person on my own time, during the course of that year, I think we probably got 3 projects from people on the committee. Hey, you know what? After 5 or 6 months getting to know you, blah, blah, blah. So you would never add it up and go, that was worth all that time. But we still get business from it
Yeah.
20 years later.
Yeah.
We still get business from designers that were on that committee and they just started with us. I remember one designer, it was like 10 years after the committee. And she called me up out of the blue and I was like, hey, how you doing? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh my gosh, the laughs we had on that committee, blah, blah, blah. Right. And the trade show came out so good. And I'm like, what's going on? And she's like, well, you know what? I'm calling you for window treatments. And you know me, I don't leave the question unasked. I'm like, why now? And she goes, my window treatment person died. And she's like,
Oh.
and so the thing was, it was like, she was loyal to her window treatment person, but she knew the second that that person retired or died, which the person was old, it was a long life. You know what I'm saying? She knew she was calling us, that we were in her back pocket, but that never would have happened if I hadn't spent that time on that committee with her. Like, she got to know me, you know what I mean? And she was just, I was grateful that she was loyal to that person all that time. She didn't just jump ship because she got to know me, because I appreciate that with the designers that patronize Window Works, right?
Right.
But it's just a funny thing because it's a long tail thing
It
and you get
is.
the enjoyment of the process, particularly if you take your advice and you do something that matters to you, that you care about, and you create these massively wonderful friendships. And then, of course, the business follows all through the tentacles of the 10, 20, 30 years later.
It
It's like,
it's so true.
yeah,
It's so true because that's the part of it. You don't necessarily need window treatments every year. You don't
right.
necessarily need an interior designer every single year. You don't need to buy a new car every single year. But that's the groundwork that you're laying, and the fruit of it is not immediate, like you said, but at the same time you're building the relationships that
Yeah.
matter. And
Yeah.
even when I started my design business, some of my very first clients, probably within the first 2 years, were people that knew me from the dealership, and they knew me
Yes.
from sitting at every event that we sponsored, and all of the things that go along with that. Every weekend you're at every chamber of commerce event, you're at
Yes.
everything. And so they maybe knew me from that, and they were like, oh well, she's got a design, I'll call her. So
Yeah.
um it is a long tailed thing, but it
Yeah.
is I think a very worthwhile thing, because people have to trust a designer. I think
Yes.
they have to trust every business. I'm not saying you don't. You have to trust your window treatment designer. You have to trust your car dealer, but at the
But
same
the
time,
engagement is long with a
it
designer.
is. It is.
You got to feel like you know them before you say, I think I'll hire you, because what if you get them in the house and you don't like them and now you're going to see them at another meeting? So that's why it takes longer
Right.
to get that inquiry from those
Well, and
relationships, right?
I think people that 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 maybe I hear watching all the different kind of Instagram stories and things about why did this person ghost this designer, and I'm
Mm.
thinking, because they don't trust you.
Yeah,
They met
and
you.
they don't know you enough to care about hurting your feelings or leaving you
Right.
ghosted. It's like, whatever, you don't matter enough to them, right?
Exactly. It's like, well, you didn't instill trust in them from your initial meeting. And sometimes you may have been establishing trust with someone just by building your brand through community involvement. And that may be the hurdle for them, right?
Yeah.
That may be the leg up that you have over someone else that's doing nothing.
Right,
So
right.
they're
And also, they say it used to be that a consumer needed to come across your company or service 7 times before they remembered you. Now they say with the internet, it's something like 15 times,
right.
because, the touches are so quick now across Instagram or whatever. And so, that's one more layer of it, that they see your branding on the sign out at the carnival where, you're sponsoring, or at the luncheon at the, breast cancer foundation or something like that. And it's like that subliminal, oh, there's those people. My Doma Studio is your complete designer toolkit. You know this, right? My Doma makes it easy to streamline your processes, track your projects, communicate with clients, and just get organized. It is created by designers for designers, specifically to address what you need as a design business owner. My Doma is now together with Studio Designer, and they are the industry leading solution. With 20,000 plus users, more designers choose their platform than any other. Are you ready to reach the next level of profitability and efficiency? Book a demo with My Doma Studio today by going to mydomastudio.com/LuAnn. That's mydomastudio.com/LuAnn. Again. You know what's funny, Juliana? I think that I don't think it's a stretch to think that any rational, reasonable small business person could understand that this is a viable marketing
Mhm.
and branding strategy, right? I think most people with their brain on straight would say, yeah, I really can't poke holes in it. Whether or not they embrace it, whether or not they really understand the level that it can create business for you, might be different levels of understanding. But you know what's interesting is to think about your husband and a business of that size, and that being an active marketing strategy, right? Like, I think most of us with much smaller businesses, it's not that I've never heard of a business that size, a car dealership or anything that does charitable things. But what I'm hearing is that your husband did it as an active strategy too, not just like, okay, you asked me for a check, so I write it. And it's interesting because when I think about a company of that level and where the marketing dollars, the available marketing dollars, and still this is really a revenue, a way that he built his revenue, and he had it as a lane of a thing to do. I think that says a lot, you
Well,
know?
the interesting thing is that, like I mentioned, Houston's a big city, but the
Mm,
area that we bought the store in Southwest Houston was a smaller area that was growing like crazy,
mm.
but it had been an established area. So if you think of, everybody knows the mayor, everybody knows the high school coach, everybody knows everybody. Now that size of that area has just quadrupled over time.
Oh.
But you had to build trust with the people in the community. And this community is very charitable, extremely
Mm.
charitable. And so my husband had a couple of different um, primary focuses. Obviously, anything with kids and education, he's all about, because he's a lay down for anything with kids and education. Um, he's all about it. But we were involved very heavily with an organization here called Texana, and it was like his heart.
Oh.
It's a community where um, people that have mental and physical challenges as an adult have a community to live in. And
Oh.
they try to help them, depending on their levels and abilities, find a way to have a job. They take them to
Mm,
a job. Um, they try to help them be as independent as possible within the community so that they have help, right?
mm.
And so we were very involved with Texana. They very sweetly named the road into the into the center after my husband. But
Oh my
um,
goodness.
he was so passionate about this cause. Not only did he sponsor every event that they had, but he said, you know what? Your goal is to try to help them make money for themselves and try to help them find a way to support themselves. And he was on the board of this organization, and he said, there's just not enough opportunity. Um, so he came up with this idea that while they had a few of, they called them their residents. So a few of the residents had come to the dealership to look at cars and take a tour, and they were by our business office, and somebody was shredding documents, and everybody wanted to shred the documents. Like, they
Oh,
thought it
how
was so fun.
fun.
And so my husband said, why don't we hire people to do this? This allows them to have a paycheck. It allows them to
Yes.
and feel proud and very excited. And
Yeah.
so we hired several people that would come, and that was like their day out. They would come and they would earn a paycheck, and then they would tell my husband how wrong everyone else was doing it. So so it was definitely a bond. It was definitely something that he was passionate about, watching people succeed, um, and enable them to have somewhere to live and go. And
Yeah.
the other one again was seniors Meals on Wheels, because there was
Yeah.
such a large community that even during hurricanes, which is a huge thing that we have here in Houston, if they don't have Meals on Wheels, these seniors do not eat.
Oh
So
my goodness.
um, not just by the vans, but let's make these days of the week. We have people that are salesmen and finance managers and employees from the business office are delivering Meals on Wheels these days. So it
Wow.
was just, very, very passionate about these causes. And it's really the people that need the most help, that need the most care. And it's not just having the money, it's having people that can be a boot on the ground, right? And
Yes.
actually physically help. So
I love it, you talk about do what you say you're going to do. Like your husband really puts his time, his pocketbook, his employees behind these things, and it's inspiring. It's no wonder it inspired you to do it and repeat it in your own company.
right.
And I love that your twist on it is do what you can do. Whether you're a solo designer or you're a designer with a small team, it's like do what you can do and I love the other part, do what matters to you, like do the thing that you want to show up for. There's so many different organizations, groups, entities that need help. You can find something that aligns with something that gets you up in the morning, right?
Absolutely. And on a macro level is one thing, but even on a micro level, because
Yeah.
on a micro level it matters just as much. um,
Mhm.
the small donations, or the donation of your time, or the donation of a gift to a raffle that's going to help raise money, everything that you do is something that wouldn't happen if you weren't doing it.
Right.
And I'm passionate about volunteerism, and I think it's just it feeds your heart, it feeds your soul, and then at the end of the day, you're a trusted member of your community. And you know long term, it may help build your business, but it definitely builds your brand. And
Yeah.
you can't buy that kind of marketing. Really, you can't buy people's trust, and you
No.
can't show up um, enough. I don't think, but I love that you don't have to feel like you have to be at everything. I don't think you have to be involved in everything that crosses your desk or crosses your mind.
Mhm.
2 or 3 things, even if it's
Mhm.
twice a year, but you are the person that you're the Ruby sponsor for this event, or you're the donor for that event, or you're going to show up and help make sandwiches for lunches of love, right?
Yeah.
For children that
Yeah.
need school lunch. So, um, easy ways to get involved, things that don't cost money, but things that do feed us. I think we all need that kind of soul feeding, and then it helps us give back. But you can also do this in networking. And
Mm.
I love that IDS has like group impact. It has a lot of emphasis on those things, and we've kind of been focusing on that even in our chapter. So people that get intentionally involved. I always say, like, if you're going to go to something, don't be a tourist. Jump
Right.
in, right? Don't
Yes.
just show up
Yes.
to the meeting and sit in the back and, meet people. You never know how you can impact the organization, because I think people always think, oh, they have it. Nobody else, I'm not needed in this. I'll just show up. And I think you get out of it what you put into it. And be aware. To
Yeah.
build the board that we have in Houston, um, they will laugh. My vice president, I called her out of the blue. She wasn't even a member of IDS. I'd met her at a couple of different events. I thought she was full of life and fantastic and hardworking. And um, I asked her, I said, would you be involved in IDS? She goes, yeah, nobody ever asked me. And
It's just like sales. You
I,
just gotta ask for the close. You gotta
exactly.
ask for the money.
I called another girl that I had met who was extremely talented and bright and brilliant, and I asked her if she would come to an IDS meeting, and very sadly, she said she had been a member of a different organization, and nobody talked to her.
Oh.
So I'm like, well, come to this one, and
Yeah,
we
yeah, yeah.
will talk
Somebody
to
will
you.
talk to
And
you. Oh,
actually, I
yeah.
want you on my board. So
I'm gonna talk a lot.
yeah. And so I think that sometimes if you kind of get involved and don't sit in the background, so many organizations like IDS, ASID, NKBA, all of the things, it's the same thing with me. I can't be involved in all of them. I actually am a member of all of them, but I can't
Yes.
be involved as at the level that I'm involved in
Right.
all of them, because it's like a second full-time job for me.
Mhm.
Um, but I think that there are so many ways that people can plug into these organizations at a small level, at a big leadership level. Everyone's always looking for participation, and use that for good, right? And IDS Houston, we've done some amazing things. Not to toot our horn, but we've done a big event with Designers for Dogs. We
Ah.
raised money for that event. If people don't know about that organization, look them up. They help build awareness for rescuing dogs, and even into designer world, where we're like designing around dogs and designing dog friendly environments, which is huge
Oh,
today. But it,
interesting.
it helps raise money for rescue, and
Mm.
just like the things that you care about. Like, I have a dog and I love a dog, so this is like fabulous. Let's help with that. And
Yeah.
I think that some of the relationships that you build in these networking situations, which I think it's different. Volunteerism is kind of like intentionally showing up for your community, and whether it's financially or with your time. And networking is different in the sense that this is usually in a professional organization, or usually in a professional realm. Different, I think,
Right.
can both meet needs of the community, but it is different. I think you kind of have to intentionally relationship build in your
Yes.
networking. And if you're showing up to trade shows and you're just popping into the same buildings and not looking for the educational opportunities, not visiting your design organization mixers, not getting involved, you miss opportunities that are, I think, just as important, because
No, 100%. It's no different than when like I said, I made a joke to that designer. We paid our dues to ASID New Jersey every year, but we never went. You
yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah,
It's like, that's a professional organization, and it's a completely night and day different experience, both on a human personal level and on a results level for a business, whether you just pay your dues and have your name on a roster, or you show up. You show up at the events, and the volunteer for the committees and so forth, like that. Yeah, I mean, it really is. Listen, is it a new idea? No. But does it need a little strategy behind it, like you outlined for us? And does it need a little intention behind it, like you explained to us? And does it need some passion connected to it, so, it resonates and it is something you get up and do? Yeah. Right. That's what takes it from just like a thing to an action. Right.
right, absolutely. And I think that you can even map that out with your trade show attendance. I kind of
Yeah.
think, why are you here? What are you getting from this? You're spending thousands of dollars to travel and get a hotel that's highly marked up for, for, for what you're receiving. So, what is your intention? How do you grow? And
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, including myself, have been incredibly blessed by mentorship in these kind of professional organizations. I've had opportunities that I would not have been offered or exposed to without those professional organization relationships. And um, so people that think, oh, I can join IDS or I can join ASID or NKBA or whatever it is, or whatever chamber of commerce, if you're not getting involved and you're not stepping up and asking for responsibility or filling a need that they have, you're not going to get anything out of it. You
No,
may learn
it's
a
the
little
truth.
bit at the meeting, but the actual
Yes.
networking is intentional. It's not
Yeah.
I'm a member. It's
Right.
actually intentionally showing up, being involved, giving of your time,
Hmm.
and the crazy things that happen.
I know,
I
I
mean,
know, I
the
know, right?
crazy,
The opportunities that you never would have thought, right?
I
And
I
it's
would
funny,
never be here had I not
right?
met you through IDS. So,
That's right.
you
That's right.
know,
It's the truth, right?
yeah.
And it's funny because I get a lot of newer designers, not necessarily younger, but newer in business that are like, "How do I find a mentor?" And I have to say, it's the same thing. It's no different than if I'm a window treatment professional and I'm going to an IDS chapter meeting every month, hoping that one day, or an ASID meeting, that a designer will say, "Hey, we want to do our window treatments with you." Like, I know for a fact it doesn't happen after one or two meetings. It doesn't. They want to make sure, because here's what happens: they've met you. So whether it's you guys at a meeting, at a chamber meeting, or you guys at a charity event that you're volunteering for, the consumer knows you're a designer, but they don't know you yet. So, but they know you well enough that if I invited you out for a consultation, even if it was paid, if they didn't end up feeling a vibe with you, now they're going to see you again at the next meeting. And they're like, yeah, I didn't hire you. So, what happens is, I think people, whether it's peer to peer, professional to professional at IDS or ASID or WCAA, or it's professional to consumer through these other organizations that we can involve ourselves in, people will take longer to pull the trigger because they know they got to see you again and they want to be pretty sure they feel comfortable doing that first step, that it feels logical that the next step could happen. Now, there's always reasons why it can, and that's fine. But I think the principle applies to newer designers who are looking for mentorship as well. You just reached out to somebody on Instagram, or you meet somebody one time at a meeting and you're like, "Hey, can I pick your brain? Can you mentor me?" Like, think about the mentee. The mentee's like, "Wait, what? Like, what? Like, I don't even know you. I don't know you are a hard worker. You gonna say yeah, but to everything I say? Am I gonna encourage you to do things and you say that won't work for me? Or do you spend some time getting to know the more seasoned designers at IDS, at ASID, at NKBA, at WCAA? And after there's some vibe with the two of you, by the way, you just start getting mentored, because if somebody's at the organization, they want to help you. But even if you want to cross to that, do you mind? Like, could I do one call a month with you for 1 hour and just have a topic in front of you, and I can pick your brain on it? You, as the mentee, potential mentee, are much more likely to say yes to somebody that you've gotten to know over several meetings and several months before, so that you're going to vibe, right? Like,
100,
right?
100%. And
Yeah.
I think those relationships take you to similar places where maybe it's even happening in a great environment like High Point. I mean,
Right.
so many times you'll meet people and get to know people, and then you'll see them in the next year or 6 months at an event, and you can sit down and say, you know what, that that whatever it was that you did, how did you do that?
Right.
And people are like having a cocktail, happy to talk. You're not taking too much of their time. And I think that's where great conversation happens,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
Mm-hmm.
in an organic environment, sometimes even outside of a plan. But
Right.
I love that. And I think that if you're attending market with a purpose, and that is an actual, you want to relationship build and network with your peers, you make a plan. What educational things can I attend? I know I have to do X, Y, and Z with my vendors and meet my rep here and there, but I'm intentionally going to make time to do these things that are going to help me help my business.
Right, right, right. I love it. Well, Juliana, I have to say, so much good advice here. And really, like I said, a great combination of tactics and strategies to use as guideposts when we delve into this, but inspiration for doing it. And just like, yeah, like I'm sitting here thinking, all right, girl, I got to do something here. So, but I appreciate your coming on the show. I appreciate the work that you do for IDS and your chapter. I know that you're a tremendous leader, a valuable asset to that chapter into IDS National. And I just, I'm so glad that our paths crossed because of IDS. Thank you.
Thank you, LuAnn. I am just thrilled to finally be with you, and same to you, because what you've given to all of us and so many of the designers, and like I said, you were the first um, inspirational speaker I heard when I opened my business, and I could literally listen to what you were saying, look at my own processes, and saying, I did that one. Good job for me. Check. Or
Yes, yes.
oh, darn it, I haven't done that. I need to add that to my process. That
That's
is
it.
mentorship. And you are a true mentor to all of us. And I so appreciate being with you today.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, before I get to the takeaways from this great conversation with Juliana, I just have to say every time I interact with Interior Design Society, I am blown away. Whether it's their national conference, individual chapters like Juliana's in Houston, or running into IDS members at High Point, there is something special there. I do believe it starts with Jenny Cano, the executive director, and Maddie Landers, the director of marketing, and they have created a spirit of inclusivity and mentorship that is real. There are people in each of these chapters that want to see each other succeed, and they're willing to share their knowledge to make it happen. This kind of community is rare, and honestly, I wish I could bottle it up and hand it out to all the design organizations out there. So please, if you are interested, you should look up your local chapter of Interior Design Society. Now, let's get into the big aha moments from Juliana's conversation, because this strategy can transform your business and it doesn't cost you a dollar bill. First, make a big difference in few places instead of spreading yourself thin. Juliana's husband didn't sponsor every little league team in Houston. He focused on Meals on Wheels and Texana. He bought vans and had employees deliver meals. He made an actual genuine impact. And for you, that might mean picking one or two causes you care about, but go deep, not wide. Second, pick causes that matter to you as a human, okay? This isn't about what looks good on paper, about what your obituary is going to say someday, right? You heard Juliana light up talking about the decorating of the trees for the Children's Museum and supporting student design programs. When you care and you show up authentically, this is how the trust gets built. Third, Juliana said, do what you say you're going to do. Sounds simple, but she emphasized it for a reason. Don't volunteer if you're going to flake out. Don't offer sponsorship and then not follow through. Your reputation is built on consistency, and your name ends up in programs on websites and materials that boost your brand and your credibility if it all lines up, right? Fourth, Juliana said, don't be a tourist. Get involved with intention. Whether it's a networking event or a volunteer opportunity, showing up is not enough. Raise your hand. Take on a responsibility. Dedicate something to the organization. Think about if somebody just wrote you a check every single month and said, hey, use this to make your business better. Okay, right? Like an organization, especially a charitable one, that's good. But what if somebody said to you, hey, I'm going to show up for 3 hours a month and I'm just going to help you understand your finances, or I'm going to help you develop your processes, right? Or I'm just going to show up and, deliver your tiles to the projects, and you know what I mean? Like, it's the act of the doing that makes the bigger impression, right? And then here's the big one. This is a long tail strategy. I say all the time is money, and it is. But this approach takes time. And the payoff, though, however, can be huge. Juliana shared how clients from her husband's dealership days come back to her years later for design work. And I've experienced the same thing with ASID committees leading to decades-long business relationships, right? So you never know what doors a community presence will open for you. All right. So if you're wondering where to start, here's your action plan. Look at causes you are passionate about. Research which professional organizations serve your industry or your passions. Pick one community cause and one professional organization to focus on this year. Reach out and ask, how can you help? Not just with money, but with your time and your skills. And then lastly, whatever you commit to, put it in your calendar and treat it like a client appointment. Okay? Not an appointment with yourself. Don't treat it like your yoga appointment that you like blow through and you just stay at your desk. Treat it like a client appointment that you would never leave and never not show up for, right? Now, bonus takeaway from my own experience with Exciting Windows. The bigger businesses in our group consistently say they attend meetings with the smaller ones to stay grounded in the grassroots marketing that has built their success, okay? Because as you get bigger and your business gets bigger, you can afford to throw money at problems, but you risk forgetting the relationship building activities that actually work, okay? So don't lose that point of view. All right. So it applies to your business. It applies to whether you're making sandwiches or buying vans. It's about showing up, being consistent, and being someone in your community that you can count on. Also, too, I just want to tell you, that in June, I just got back from the Business of Interior Summit in London, England, hosted by Rachel Usher. She was on the podcast last year. That episode is linked in the show notes. From there, I went straight to Vegas for RisaCon to connect with the home staging community. And from there, I went to Vegas Market and I got to connect with IDS. All right. So here's the thing. There are tons of places to find community for you to look in, jump in, and get going. And this is exactly what Juliana shared. Honestly, the design industry has something every day of the week that you could attend. And I'm not suggesting you're like me, like a lunatic flying all over the place every single month, but pick which community feels good for your business, whether it's the Real Estate Staging Association, whether it's IDS, it's ASID, whatever it is, okay? Juliana, thank you so much for your wisdom and for leading your company with purpose in Houston. And I'm sure you bring that spirit, that frame of mind to your IDS chapter in Houston. They're lucky to have you. And thank you for listening. Thank you for spending time with me. I appreciate you. I hope this encourages you to look beyond your four walls and recognize the business building power of serving your community. Thanks tons. Decide to be excellent. Thank you for joining me today. This podcast is a production of LuAnn Nigara, Inc. If you want to know more about me, my books, or LuAnn University, go to LuAnnNigara.com. And if you are interested in having WindowWorks help you with your next window treatment or awning project in the New York, New Jersey metro area, go to WindowWorksNJ.com to learn more. Have an excellent day.